Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the theme park evangelist. So it's been an interesting day, somewhat productive, somewhat not. I spent most of my day playing Super Nintendo. I just found out from my dad around 7 in the morning that he had given me his old Super Nintendo system that we used to play back in Central Florida. And he got himself a Super Mini Classic Edition, which is now like $75. And he says they don't make them anymore, but I've told him, well, that's interesting because I found them online for like $75. Yes, they are extremely expensive. And then he could add on games to it for free, but hey, I'm cool with the, big thing because it still works. It doesn't work as well as as the minis, but I remember using it all the time, and to me, this is a really cool birthday gift. And I didn't even realize he had given it to me. In fact, I had accidentally tried selling it to my roommate Andrew, and then I realized, oh, I didn't mean to sell that to him. So I told him I have to buy it or pay him back for it. I'll make sure I take care of that tomorrow. So tomorrow, technically today, which today is Friday now because I'm filming this around 12 in the morning. That just goes to show how bad I am when it comes to recording YouTube videos versus live streaming. Live streaming, at least I try to do a little earlier, and if I do live stream, I admit, yes, this is the time, and then you're going to see it right away as soon as it goes up. Versus a pre recorded video. Yes, you'll see it as soon as it goes on the internet, but unless, of course, I use my phone, then it's going to take hours before it gets on. Like, I'm using my laptop a lot right now for my at home vlogs, which means it will be a lot quicker that it'll get on. Because for whatever reason, my laptop has like instant uploading versus my phone's a little slower, which is really weird, but you know how that is. So today, besides playing at the Super Nintendo for like 8 hours, I also took care of some schoolwork. I went on a walk. I got my car vacuumed, and I tried on groceries, like online grocery delivery, whatever. So I got my groceries delivered to my house for the first time. Is what I'm trying to say through the Kroger app. So that was kind of cool. It was kind of a good excuse because I'm not really supposed to be out of the house right now. And even if I did leave the house, I literally would have just driven over there, got the groceries picked up, and then came right back again. And to me, that was just not worth it. I didn't mind paying an extra $10 just to get them delivered because I really didn't feel like leaving today. And I didn't really feel like putting it off till tomorrow either. Besides, I'm going to Meyer tomorrow, technically today, because I have a bunch of groceries that I had pre-ordered a few days ago, and I'm going to be going over to the Meyer pickup area, and I'm going to let them know, hey, I'm here, and then they're going to bring me the groceries to my car, load it into my car, then I'm going to take it home, load it into the house, then I'm going to go to McDonald's, I'm going to do the whole McDonald's curbside pickup, and then go to the church and clean and eat at the same time. The last time I literally did McDonald's pickup was like years ago. I was on my way to work, more than likely Disney, and I got a really weird look from the girl for it. Even though I had plenty of time, I felt like why not? I typically don't, but this time I'm making an excuse for it because of the fact that I am supposed to be treated like I potentially might have COVID because I've been living with someone with COVID. And, I'm starting to get more brave. I am trying to bring the guy with COVID food and beverages, but I'm still trying to be careful and, always hand sanitizing and washing my hands, as often as possible, and always trying to stay away from him as much as possible. Otherwise, not coming into his room whatsoever. And I got some cleaning supplies coming tomorrow too, I should mention. Today, technically. But the big announcement I really wanted to make is this year my YouTube channel turns 5, which is really exciting for me because I can't believe that I've been doing the whole YouTube thing for about 5 years now. Technically, I've had a YouTube channel since 2009, but I've been the theme park evangelist for 5 years this December. So, to celebrate, starting now, I decided to first put up a brand new introduction vlog. Now, I did not delete the old one because it had a lot of views and likes. 2 likes to me is quite a bit still, considering I still only have 130 subscribers. And the other one had 60 views, but that was over 5 years. Now this one is brand new, and it only just got to put up this morning. Late this morning, that is. So, I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with it. And, yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens, because of the fact that I've been really working hard on my YouTube channel for 5 years, so I did something very different this year. Because of the fact that my YouTube channel just turned 5, I took clips of different highlights from different YouTube videos. I didn't really have a preference. I was looking for more old videos over the years, and then I kind of combined them over the years. Like I did one from 2016. I did a bunch from over 2017 and 18. Then I finally got to 2019 and 2020. Obviously, I don't really have anything right now for 2021 because it just started. Not to mention, I've literally just been sitting around my house doing nothing. And my next big thing is not till next month, so there really is nothing to talk about. I'm really praying and hoping my work will still let me go on this vacation, because my plan for this year was to work all the way up until February 26th, then take my first vacation. Me being stuck at home right now had nothing to do with the vacation. I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to lose my vacation in February just because my roommate got COVID. Like, oh, you already got your 2 weeks off, you're good. It's like, but I really didn't enjoy my 2 weeks. Like, yeah, it was kind of nice having some time off, but it wasn't that enjoyable. I couldn't do anything. I was literally stuck in my house. It was kind of torture, because I couldn't even go see my parents, and if I couldn't even go to the mall. I couldn't go see a movie. I couldn't go out to eat. It's not like it was that great. Like, if it was a staycation, I wouldn't just be sitting around the house. I'd be, going off to see my parents. I'd be going places. I probably would have gone around town and done some sightseeing. It's not like I would just been sitting around the house. That's not something I would do every single day. I'd maybe do it here and there, like maybe one day here, maybe one day there, but for the most part, I'd be going out and about and enjoying myself. And 2 weeks sitting around the house was not my idea of a vacation, but I have to do what I gotta do. In the meantime, so you probably noticed my YouTube title change, or whatever. The title of my YouTube video is called Working the Tomorrow Land Incredible Expo. So this is my last Magic Kingdom vlog before I talk about Test Track. There's only one chapter about Test Track, because I was only there for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks can go by really fast, or 2 weeks can be really long, like it is for me right now. So it depends on how you look at it. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on the Test Track thing, like maybe 30 to 40 minutes. There really is not much to talk about, because then we're going to go back to talking about Tomorrow Land Speedway again right as soon as we get done with Test Track. So in the meantime, let's talk about the Tomorrow Land Incredible Expo. So the Tomorrow Land Incredible Expo was something that Disney came up with in the summer of 2018. Disney really wanted to advertise their brand new um, Incredibles 2 movie that was coming out that summer. So they were like, well, we're going to do something, really cool. So where should we advertise? Well, of course, the Magic Kingdom, of all places, is the most popular of the parks. And of course, they're going to put in the Tomorrowland section because it's the most futuristic of all the parks. Well, I mean, of all the sections, I should say. So they pretty much put up Tomorrowland, and, well, I should say incredible stuff everywhere. They had Incredibles characters coming out. They had Incredibles music playing. They had Incredibles food. The only ride that was not touched was Tomorrow Land Speedway, which makes sense, So it was one of those weird things that you either loved it or you hated it. And some people really hated it. And some people really liked it. I was neutral. I was one of the few people that actually did not mind it either way. It was a nice change. I wouldn't say that I would have wanted it all along or all the time. But it was kind of interesting, and it was kind of fun having the Incredibles stickers. So, of course, whenever we went down due to lightning, we would have the Incredibles stickers. And there was one day that my coworker Jeff was just really into it. So he had the Tomorrowland Incredible Expo stickers, and he was just going crazy at the stickers. And I guess some managers saw him and I going crazy at the stickers, and they acknowledged us on the hub, the Disney employee website, and I was like, wow, I was just kind of helping out, but I didn't take charge of the situation like he did. So I was like, okay, that's really interesting. I will definitely say that the summer of 2018 is most memorable for me of all my years at Disney because it was the first year the first summer I ever worked at the Magic Kingdom. B, it was probably the hottest summer I ever worked at the Magic Kingdom, or just Disney, I should say, period. And C, with the Incredibles Expo going on, how could I forget about how many times the ride went down due to lightning and how many times we would have inclement weather coming in and then I would get soaked or my stuff would get soaked. Oh yes, how could I forget that was all going on during that event, which literally started around June and ended in August. And that same exact event is the same exact summer that the Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe got the outdoor seating area. So how interesting is that? And if I remember correctly, you'll like this one. So I think it was that same exact summer that I was up front and a guest or an employee was telling me about a guest that was on Haunted Mansion. I think it was a guest because this guest was I was running on Haunted Mansion, and all of a sudden the ride came to a stop, and I guess the story got around to everybody else because we all found out that what happened to the guest. So this guest was with his family because we were like, well, maybe it was just a young kid. No, it was a grown man. And I guess it was during the ballroom scene or something. So he literally got out of his ride vehicle and he went and hid in the corner. He was kind of down like this. He was sobbing, and my mouth just dropped. I was like, "You're kidding, right?" That was probably one of the funniest things that happened to me that summer during that event. Another one that I really enjoyed was a lady didn't have Fast Pass for Tomorrow Land Speedway, and she was so flabbergasted about it. And I was trying to explain to her reasons why we wouldn't allow her, or why we would, I should say, allow her into the ride. I said, well, for example, if, you happen to have a, because she mentioned me she had a fast pass for Haunted Mansion. I said, well, if you had a fast pass for Haunted Mansion and the ride broke down, and then we could honor it. And she was like, well, I have a fast pass for Haunted Mansion and the ride broke down. Of course, she had to say it just like that. And I'm thinking to myself, you're just using my words so you can sneak your way in. But of course, I'm thinking to myself, there unfortunately isn't a right way to prove either she's lying or not. I knew right away she was lying, but at the same time, I'm not gonna go and judge that person for it. So I immediately was like, fine, go ahead. I had to make her scan her thing, and I had to make it go green. I was just like, if you're gonna argue with me like this, I'm just gonna go ahead and let you go anyway. One of my favorite moments that happened that summer during the Tomorrow Land Incredible Expo, there was a family that came through, and we used to do these things called no strings attached. So it was basically a thing where you could make a special moment for a guest and their family or whatever. And I guess it was an older couple, and it was like their 50th birthday or something. And I decided, oh, I'm going to give them all fast passes for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. This was a few years ago, so back then you could do this. And this was one of the rides that you could do it for. And I gave them a no strings for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And I let them all backdoor onto it, basically. And I was very fortunate to have a coordinator do that for me one time when I came. So one of the perks about working at Magic Kingdom at the time was, if you ever came to Tomorrowland, you were allowed to backdoor onto Space Mountain and Buzz Lightyear. Speedway, you could do it to your heart's content. Space Mountain was easier than Buzz Lightyear, which is ironic because we were partnered with Space Mountain, so it was easy for me to walk up to Space Mountain and see someone I would recognize, and they would let me on. Buzz Lightyear was always a little harder, but one time I was very fortunate and I recognized somebody, and he backdoored me, and then he turned around and gave me a no strings for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I didn't even ask him to. I was like, what? This was during that same exact summer, too, so. But at the same time, though, it might have been that fall, so. But, some things, really benefit about working there. That same summer, I actually got out of filling up the cars one morning, and I can tell you, just from experience, the hardest part about working at Tomorrow Land Speedway during the summer is filling up the cars, because you're dragging the big heavy hose throughout the entire area. And then, of course, you're listening to that obnoxious Incredibles music that was playing. Listening to the normal Tomorrowland music is nice and it's relaxing. And then hearing the people move around the background is kind of nice, too. But the Incredibles music was kind of annoying. I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Like, really? But, there was one particular day that I was supposed to be part of the ride Space Mountain with the lights on, and it was during the summer. I still had to fill up the cars though, so I did forget that. I did forget to mention that I still had to fill up the cars. I made an agreement with them. If I helped fill up the cars, I could go ride the ride, and I wouldn't even have to put brake fluid in. That was the only thing I didn't have to worry about that time, because that would take an extra 20-30 minutes. So I went and filled up all the cars. I had to sign my document really quick. And then I walked over to Space Mountain. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about this before, so kind of why I'm squeezing at all the stuff I've done over the summer now, because this is literally the last chapter of the summer. And I'm making sure it coincides with the whole Tomorrowland Incredible Expo. So, I'm just standing there. listening to music, and when I had walked over, I had joined a group of kids, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I'm supposed to be with a group of kids. And I finally walked over and I talked to someone, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't think you're with the right group." So I ended up finally finding my group, which was a lot smaller. Mine was, of course, all my age, which was like 20s to 50s or whatever. So people I typically hang out with can be anywhere within that range. But kids, no. We love kids to death, but we're not really typically supposed to be hanging out with kids at my age. I'm almost 30 now. I mean, 30 in a couple of years anyway. But this was even a few years ago, so, you know. So I'm glad I got that figured out. So they let us go on the ride, and we rode the entire ride with the lights on. It was kind of cool. Then, I got to see my photo with me in my costume. Of course, I'm thinking to myself, well, this is one time I'm not going to be taking a picture of myself because I'm in my costume riding a Disney ride. I'm not going to take a picture. So I just kind of looked at it, and I took the normal way out. And of course, I was more excited about the fact that I rode the ride on the clock in costume than the fact that I rode the ride with the lights on. I mean, riding the ride with the lights on was exciting. It was more interesting than exciting because I can tell you right now that people will like to say to you that you're a lot closer to the track than you think you are, but in reality, I thought that we were a lot closer to the track with the lights on. So, I mean, lights off. So when I saw the entire track with the lights on, I clearly found out the hard way that what had been fooling me was a bunch of projections of stars that were like all over the entire building. And that's actually what you're going through. And there's only about 2 or 3 times where you're actually really close to the track. And there's actually quite a few times where you're so close to the floor, if you had long enough arms like I do, you could actually touch the floor. And I saw that it was basically nothing but a giant warehouse. And that's basically the best way to put Space Mountain. It's nothing but a giant warehouse with a roller coaster in it. And with the lights off, and the projections, it's a totally different atmosphere. And that was more shocking to me than anything. Like, I don't know, everybody sees Space Mountain a completely different way, if you know what I mean. And that's something I definitely really wanted to share with you guys, being a huge Disney fanatic. And that was probably my favorite highlight of the summer. I had to move the laptop because I was getting tired of sitting crisscross applesauce. So something I used to do in middle school, and I had to because it made us look so neat and orderly. And I've been a big guy my whole life, so But yeah, it was kind of fun. Then I had to go back and operate the ride for the rest of the day. But I can tell you right now, the reason why I left Tomorrow Land Speedway in the first place was I was getting tired of wearing the steel toe boots. I was tired of being out in the heat. I was tired of being around the carbon and monoxide. I would never say that I hated, my job, period. Like, I was really good at what I did. I really was. In fact, I had been, you could say that I got a lot of praises from different supervisors and coworkers over the past year or so for how well I did. If I were still there, I'd be a coordinator by now. That's how good I was. Maybe even a manager, but you know how that is. But I would definitely say a coordinator for sure. I was really good at what I did. I know if I had stayed around an extra few months, I definitely would have been a trainer for sure. But you make those tough choices in life sometimes. And I was just so desperate for a change at the time. So when I finally was allowed to transfer, I put down that, I was ready to get out of that area. I just really wanted to be done with Tomorrow Land Speedway, not necessarily Tomorrow Land, because I had put myself down on the cross training list for Buzz Lightyear months ago. So the cross training list is basically a list that's in the manager's office that's over by Space Mountain. And this list basically lets you choose which attraction you want to learn while still operating your own. And you choose in order which attractions you want to learn. So at the time, it was Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, People Mover, Astro Orbiter, Space Mountain, Carousel of Progress, and Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. Buzz Lightyear was its own attraction at the time. People Mover and Rocket Tower Plaza were its own attractions at the time. And then, of course, the two shows were its own. So now Buzz Lightyear has merged in with Rocket Tower and whatever you call it. The People Mover. So all three of those are in one, and I think that had happened right around the time that I was getting ready to cross train, or while I was cross training. I think that had all happened, but I don't remember offhand. It's been a while, but I remember that was one of the problems that came up, and the reason why it was taking a little longer than usual for me to cross train over. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that work at each section, so it's not like you're the only one that puts your name on the list. Like, once you've been in an attraction for a couple of months, as long as you have a clean record, you're allowed to put yourself on that list. Like, yes, I would like to learn this attraction. And it's basically goes by first come, first serve basis. And then they have a TV that shows everybody that's learned that everybody that's allowed to go to that attraction. Then you also get a piece of paper from a coordinator in training that says, yes, you are going. You normally get an email as well that says, this is when you're going to start learning this attraction. So it's not like you're going to just suddenly show up at work and they go, oh, you're not over here today, you're over at this attraction. And then you're like, when did this happen? Oh, we just decided this. So it's not like any of that happens. And trust me, none of that happens until the fall. So I just want to let you guys know in advance that, what had been going on in my mind. But yeah, the summer was killing me. And I think the summer was pretty much what did me in and made me want to leave. The crowd's not so much. It was really the summer heat and all that fun stuff. So I went on the hub and I put down a few areas that I have been really wanting to learn. So the reason why I put down East and West Future World attractions at EPCOT is because I was really interested in learning, like, maybe Test Track. I figure, well, maybe that would be fun. Or I was thinking about soaring. I knew soaring would be pretty easy. Living at the Land, I thought about that one. I also thought about Mission Space. I knew Mission Space would be pretty easy. Thought about Journey to Imagination. I knew that would be pretty easy. And I definitely had thought about some attractions in the back of my mind when I was looking over all the different areas. Like, okay, well, let's see here. Which attractions do I like? Which attractions do I think I can handle? Like, deep down inside, I was kind of hoping I wouldn't get Test Track, but I was like, I would still be willing to settle for it. But I'll talk about the whole Test Track story in the next chapter. I'll go over everything. So it's not like I'm going to leave you guys blindfolded, but I'm going to make sure I don't give too much private information away about it, because I don't want people to, lose their I don't want people to look at Test Track the same way I do. I want people to love Test Track the way that they should as a guest. And that's how I feel. So, when I do talk about Test Track, even though I do see it through the lens of a cast member now who's worked at that attraction, that doesn't mean that I'm going to ruin it for everybody else. I'm just going to tell you guys what I think you guys can know, but I'm not going to tell you guys everything about it. Unless you want to go find another cast member who's willing to give out more information, that's up to you guys, but I'm not going to do that. But, I'll leave with this. Plus, when I talk about working at EPCOT and Test Track, I'll make sure I go over orientation briefly as well, because EPCOT's orientation was actually the most fascinating to me, which is really ironic. But you know how that is. Which is weird, because EPCOT's the most boring park right now. The only park I've never done an orientation at, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, is Animal Kingdom. I've worked in Animal Kingdom, but I've never done an orientation for it. And just to guess, the attraction they probably take you on, because every orientation has an attraction. And I don't know what Hollywood Studios is currently. I'm assuming it's still Muppets. Because when I went back to Hollywood Studios for my next orientation right after Toy Story Land opened, it was Muppet Vision 3D. When I first worked at Hollywood Studios, it was the Great Movie Ride. So it was really sad when I came back and Great Movie Ride was non-existent. And here's the hard part. I had the same exact coordinators of training doing the whole orientation. That was hard. Because, it was basically like reliving everything again. So it's like, man, it's like I've come back to relive everything and I can't even do everything the same way I used to. And I actually got the one guy to recognize me when I first came back to Hollywood Studios, but that's another story for another time. So, this is the conclusion. So, I officially found out that I was done at Magic Kingdom by, mid-August. And I had arranged to do this whole Tomorrow Land Speedway Victory Circle photo thing. So if I haven't talked about it before, it's basically a Speedway tradition where all the different cast members that want to come will get right there at Victory Circle. And their street clothes, they're allowed to go through the utilidors in their street clothes, or sometimes they'll just be hanging out in the park, and they'll come hang out in the attraction. They're allowed to do that after the park and the attraction closes for the night. And they'll take these group photos right there in front of the car at Victory Circle with whoever is leaving the attraction. Because Tomorrow Land Speedway is one big family. And the very first time I did it, I felt like it was more meaningful because I really felt like I was leaving that time. And it was the first time I was leaving, so I didn't think I was going to come back. And, it was kind of hard, because all I kept thinking of was like, wow, I'm not going to be coming here anymore to stand out in the heat. I'm not going to be parking in the same parking lot anymore. I'm not going to be going through the same costuming building anymore. I'm not going to be taking the bus here anymore. I'm not going to be hanging out in the same break room anymore. I'm not going to be seeing the same guys anymore. I've known these guys for almost a year now, and now I'm just going to leave them just like that. I'm not even 100% sure what to expect going to EPCOT. I have a feeling where everything is at EPCOT, but nobody knows me. I don't know what to expect. I don't really know anything about EPCOT other than as a guest. I've never actually worked at EPCOT before, so kind of nervous. The only advantage I had to working at EPCOT for 2 weeks was it prepared me for what was going to come that next year, which is another story for another time. But all I knew was I was in for a real treat. And I'm really excited about telling you guys what it was like to work at EPCOT the first time, as well as working at Test Track. And spoiler alert, I've only done EPCOT orientation once because for whatever reason I didn't have to do orientation again when I ended up going to custodial. And I'll be very careful when I do get to that point because I do have some hurt and some a little bit of anger towards Disney for what happened with that. So I'm gonna make sure that I don't let my feelings dictate how I tell the story. And I'll basically just tell the story from Disney's perspective and not even from my own, which is going to be very difficult, but I don't want to make the company look bad in any way. Even if deep down inside I want to tell the story from my point of view, it's not my goal in life, is to make others look bad. I might sometimes do that on the outside, but for my YouTube channel, I would rather not. Anyways, guys, I will see you in the next vlog, which is more than likely going to be talking about what it was like to work at Test Track, as well as EPCOT for the very first time. And don't worry, it's only there. I was only there for 2 weeks. When we come back to Magic Kingdom, we'll talk about what it was like to work at Mickey's and It's So Scary Halloween Party. So that will be fun. Alright, guys. I will see you in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great night. Peace out.